Torah guardian, speaking the absolute truth. Torah nation.
Shalom, 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 Yasharon and Yahudah. Grafted in Gentiles into the body of Hamashiach. We're listening to none other than Hezekiah. The song is entitled This Hour. I don't own the rights to this music. Listen. Yahuwah's called me to cry loud and to spare not, to lift up my voice like a trump in Zion, right? To warn Yasharon and Yahudah. Warn you that in order to enter into his kingdom, you must be born again of the water and of the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. You must be established in this witness. Again, it is not enough to know that you're Hebrew. It's not enough to walk around in this awakening and claim to be Yahuwah's people. Listen, Yahuwah's people are distinct. They are the people that have received the witness of Yahusha HaMashiach, who have been born again, who understand the necessity of the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, the water and the blood. They are living testimonies to the witness of Yahuwah. Listen, you have to understand that in order to be Yahuwah's, you have to have his spirit. You have to have his Ruach. He has to take up residency in you. He has to dwell, inhabit, make his presence known in you. You have to be set apart unto him. That's only through the witness of Yahusha HaMashiach. That's only through the water. That's only through the blood. That's only through the Ruach HaQodesh. There is no other way. And listen, once you step into this witness, you cannot be taken out of his hands. You can choose to step away from Yahuwah, right? But Yahuwah will never let anyone take you from him. Hasatan wants to destroy you. He wants to see you die. But I'm telling you, Hebrew, I'm telling you, grafted in Gentiles, you better understand this witness. You better understand what Yahuwah is doing in this time, in this hour. He has called a people. He's called a people to be set apart. He's called a people to be holy. Yahuah, in the name of Yahusha HaMashiach, I pray right now in the name of Yahusha HaMashiach, I pray now that you would take the reins of my lips and the reins of my tongue and reign. Yahuah, I pray that you would take the reins of my lips and the reins of my tongue and reign. Yahuah, I don't want to cause anyone to stumble, anyone to be turned out of the way, anyone to come up lame. You said, from my belly shall flow rivers of living water. Of this she spake of the Ruach HaQodesh, which we should receive upon Yahusha being glorified. Yahuwah, I believed in Emunah, in obedience. I asked for and received the water baptism, the blood atonement, and the Ruach HaQodesh that established me as yours. Yahuwah, I thank you right now in the name of Yahusha HaMashiach for your witness. I give you praise. I give you praise. Yahuwah, I pray that your people that you have chosen to receive this word, your word would be established in this Torah, in this Besorah of truth, that they would gravitate and move towards the witness of Yahusha, not just meandering around in this awakening, thinking that they're seeking Torah and begin to try to teach a Torah without even having made the necessary steps to turn. Yahuwah, I pray in the name of Yahusha HaMashiach that they would understand this witness, that were born again, that they would be born again, that they would be born again. And Yahuwah, to the grafted in Gentiles, Yahuwah, I thank you for every single one of them that have crossed over from this Christianity, Jewish Jesus religion, and come into faith in Hamashiach, and who serve you, Yahuwah. I pray that you would strengthen them, I pray that you would make real to them the witness of the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Yahuah, I pray that you would strengthen your people. And your people are those that are called by your name. And those that are called by your name are those that have received the name of Yahusha HaMashiach, your salvation. Yahuah, I pray in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach that the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart would be acceptable in thy sight. Yahuah, you are my strength. You are my redeemer. I can do nothing without you. I trust in your Ruach Ha'Qodesh to speak a word through me in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, I pray. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, again, we had listened to Hezekiah Yah. I love that word, his musical ministry, his prophetic. And I praise Yahuah for it in this hour. I praise Yahuah for it in this hour. Listen, right, this morning, Yahuah woke me up. And, he woke me up and I was praying. I was praying with my understanding, and Yahuah said, no, pray in the Ruach. And I believe he wanted me to pray in the Ruach so that my spirit could pray, right? Because when you pray in your Ruach, it's your spirit that prays, right? When you pray in the Ruach, you're praying in other tongues. So when you're praying in other tongues in the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, your spirit prays. I know some of y'all will have a hard time with this, but that's okay. Y'all will have a hard time with the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach. You have a hard time with the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. You have a hard time with these signs following them that believe. But needless to say, Yahuah had me woke me up, and I began to pray in the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Again, a couple times I started to go in my natural, and he said, nope, stay in the Ruach. So I'm walking around in my den area. I'm just walking around, it's interesting, right? So for the longest, I've been walking around and praying in a circle, right? Praying in a circle. So going around dancing before Yahuah in a circle, right? And I believe everything that Yahuah does in us by his Ruach Ha'Qodesh that he establishes, supernatural. There's some occurrences that I've seen that people are witnessing. How sheep that just continue to wander around in a circle. They don't break the circle. They just walk around in a circle. Right? Cattle walk around in a circle. We in the final hour. You better get in this water. Listen, so I'm praying in the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. So the circle for me is what I'm saying is supernatural. I mean, Yahuah's doing something. And he's been doing it in me like that for over 2 years. Right? So I'm praying in the Ruach, and I'm walking pretty much in a circle. I got my hands raised, and I'm praying in the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. And Yahuah says, my people need to understand that I am tabernacling in them. When they receive the witness, when they enter into this repentant restoration place, being born again of the water and the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, when I atone for them, right, I am preparing them to be an inhabitation for me. I am preparing them as they seek me, as in obedience they become born again of the water, right? And the atoning blood they receive for the remission, for the cleansing, for the propitiation of their sins, then I have swept that which was once death to them clean from them, right? And I have given them the opportunity to receive this Ruach Ha'Qodesh, right? Yahusha says it's him and the Father in us. Right? So when we look at this, Yahuwah said to me, they need to understand that in order to be mine, I have to have manifested my presence in their temple. Listen, in order for him to be yours, he have to have established a tabernacle, a dwelling in you. Yahuwah demonstrated to the nation that he was with them by constructing specifically according to the plans of this tabernacle, right, that was to mirror that in the Shamayim. Yahuwah had men that he put his Ruach Ha'Qodesh in that would be skillful to make a replica of a temple or a replica of a tabernacle, a place of dwelling, right, where he could bring his presence so that he would always be in the midst of his people. Yahuwah. Identified with the people by tabernacling with them. See. You gotta understand the transition from the atonement, goats and doves, and Yahuwah's entering in his presence and sin consciousness, and how that affected where he tabernacled. See, when you understand, right, by the Ruach HaQodesh, the necessity of this witness, you will understand that you become the place that Yahuwah dwells, and he tabernacles with you. Right. You are now identified as sealed. So when the judgment comes, they see Yahusha. They see the atonement. They see the Ruach of Yahuwah. They see the spirit and the presence of Almighty Yahuah in you, and that identifies you before all of those who are set to come and bring destruction. See, that's why he said you got to be born again. See, that's why you was, listen, we're in that hour. We're in that time where you got to understand the urgency of getting in this water. Understand the urgency of getting under this atoning blood of Yahushua HaMashiach. And the urgency of him tabernacling in you, giving you what you need to get the job done, to be able to withstand and to stand in the evil day. See, Yahuwah, gave instructions to Moshe on how to construct this tabernacle. Right? This tabernacle, he gave instructions how to construct this tabernacle, right? Excuse me. And then he gave men the Ruach Ha'Qodesh to give them the skill to make a rendition of that which was mirrored in the Shamayim. This became a sacred place. So much so that even when the high priest entered into this holies of holies, if he had not made proper atonement, he would be consumed because of his sins. He put that little bell on his, and as long as they heard it move, they knew he was alive. But when they didn't hear it no more, they tugged on that string that was around his foot and they dragged him out because they couldn't go into the holies. Yahuah had manifested his presence in the midst of them. In the midst of them, the tabernacle, the dwelling of Yahuah was in the midst of the people. But Yahuah did something that changed his presence amongst his people forever. He provided a high priest. He provided a lamb that would literally take away the sins of the world. Not the sins of the world are specific to those who Yahuah has identified as his, who have been recipients of the water, the blood, and the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. They make up those that he has chosen from the world. See, this Ruach Ha'Qodesh, man, this Yahuah in you. How can you commune with Yahuah? He's not in you. Because his design is to take up residency in you. Like, when Yahusha look at Yahuchanon. Probably gonna look at a few scriptures. We're gonna look at Yahuchanon. Right? Yahuchanon 1. Right? Yahuchanon 1. Yahuchanon 1 says, right? Yahuchanon says, he says, as he bore witness to Yahusha at his baptism, he said in that first chapter, the 31st verse, I knew him not, but that he should be made manifested to Yahshua. I didn't know who he was, but I knew he was going to manifest himself to the nation. Right? Therefore am I come baptizing with water. Right? Because, this is the way to restoration. This is the way to atonement. This is the way that you have to come. That's why Yahuchanon, that's why he sent me before him to prepare the way for this atonement and this soon to be manifestation of Yahuah in his people. Listen. And John bore record saying, I saw the Ruach Ha'Qodesh descending from the Shamayim, descending from the Shamayim like a dove, and it aboded. Right? We looked at that word abode in the Greek, right? The word abode in the Greek is
Strong's G 3306, meno.
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 Meno. The Greek word is meno. It means to remain. Right? To abide. Right? Right? It references a continual presence. See, we learned even in Shlomo's time. Like Shlomo, Dawid had just died. Shlomo was around 18, 19 years old. He's now king. Like Shlomo was like, look, I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, I know my father. I don't know what I'm doing. But you see, Yahuah had appointed Shlomo as king over Yahusha. Shlomo, you know, he had a dream. Well, he made a prayer, right? He asked Yahuah. He said, Yahuah, I don't know how to guide these people. These people are yours and they're great. Give unto me now the Ruach Ha'Qodesh of wisdom and the Ruach Ha'Qodesh of knowledge, right? That I may go out and come in before this people. So who has the capabilities of ruling these people? Yahuah said, listen, because you've asked me for wisdom to rule my people, I'm going to give you the Ruach Ha'Qodesh of wisdom and knowledge. And you are going to rule my people. But as long as you continue in this and walk obedient, you're going to get long life. As long as you continue in this and be obedient, you'll be the wealthiest man. You'll be the most prosperous man. Shlomo was passionate about wisdom. He was passionate about the Ruach Ha'Qodesh of wisdom and understanding it. He craved it. He desired it. The Ruach Ha'Qodesh. He desired it more than the affection of a woman. He said when he come home at the end of the day, all he wants to do is relax into the word of Yahuah and just meditate on Yahuah. Yeah, but see, 30 years in, somewhere along the line, you know, he took his eyes off Yahuah. He stopped meditating in that word day and night. You know, and then Shlomo, he didn't even have to physically speak the word. He could have had people around him just reading scriptures endlessly. His sole job is to read scriptures, constantly bringing it into him. But, you know, somewhere along the line, you know, he got elevated. You know, he started entertaining all these women and all these other nations. And, you know, he started listening to him. more wisdom than anybody that's ever been before you. You got to be the wisest man on the earth. Women love you. He lost his focus. See, Yahuah didn't allow anyone to take Shlomo out of his hands. Shlomo removed himself from Yahuah's hand. And then we get Ecclesiastes. Vanities of vanities, saith the preacher. All is vanity. But you know, if you, Ecclesiasticus, right, it talks about Shlomo's migration in the Besorah, in the Torah, and his wisdom and his understanding, how the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, Yahuah, tabernacling in it. What it meant. Shlomo, the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. And yet Yahusha had the Ruach Ha'Qodesh without measure. Yahusha was the only begotten of the Father. He was the Son of Yahuah. Yahusha didn't know sin. He didn't yield his members at any time to sin. He was that perfect sacrifice for sin. He was able to contain the Ruach Ha'Qodesh without measure because he was so righteous. No sin. He was the son of Yahuah, birthed of a woman. Yahuah was in Yahusha. The Ruach Ha'Qodesh was in Yahusha. Yahusha was the tabernacle at that time in the midst of the world. See, because that tabernacle that they had established had become perverted, distorted, and Yahuwah's presence wasn't there. They profaned it. They sacrificed pigs and stuff in it. Listen. Yahuah has no pleasure in temples constructed with man's hands. He does not dwell in buildings made of stone. You know, we grew up in the Baptist church. That's what you say, this is the house of the Lord. Where Yahuah, it's where the Lord's presence is. Baal's presence. Asteroth's presence. Helios. Raz. Yahusha was the presence of Yahuah Alua in the Eretz. He was the walking temple. And he went into the temples that were constructed of man's hands. And he, on the Shabbat, find where it was written and read. Yahuah wasn't there. He was there because he was there. Yahuah had taken the feast days. He had taken the Shavuos. Yahusha established, remembered, kept while he was alive. He was the temple of you. Right. So when you understand what Yahuchanon is saying, he says, And Yahuchanon bore record saying, I saw the Ruach Ha'Qodesh descending upon him like a dove. The Ruach descending on Yahusha like a dove and abode upon him. Hebrew, what makes you think that you can have it any other way? Grafted in Gentile, what make you think you can have it any other way? He set it forth you. You become the temple. You become the tabernacle. You become the dwelling place. He says, and it aboded. It remained, continued, and dwelled with Yahushua Mashiach, the Ruach. Right? And he says, and I knew him not, but he that sent me to baptize him, and to baptize everyone that came before him. Everyone that came after. He says, I'm here to baptize with water. I'm a priest. I descend from the priesthood. Right? It's not a conventional priesthood from my perspective. It's not conventional, man. It's a priesthood that's under dominion of these wicked pagans. You know, you always told me to come out of that, be separate from that, but I still have to wash. I still had to bring them to repentance. I still had to understand that Yahuah wants to live. He said, listen. The same said unto me, upon whom you shall see the Ruach Ha'Qodesh descending and remaining on him. Tabernacle. A place to dwell. A place to meet with Yahuah. And you don't got to go anywhere. You just got to humble yourself and get into his presence. If you have his Ruach Ha'Qodesh, now if you ain't got his Ruach Ha'Qodesh, you better go somewhere where you can find it. Find somebody. Take you to some water. Right? Understand what the atonement means. Right? And have him lay hands on you only if he has the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, because you don't want anybody just laying hands on you, because they be transferring Ruachs and they ain't holy. Me, right? I didn't have anybody lay hands on me. I was just like Cornelius. Look, man, I need this because this is what it says. And if it says it here, then that means this is what it does. This is what it's supposed to do. This is what I'm supposed to have. Yahuah, I'm asking you for it. Please give it to me. I must have been sincere at the time because he gave it to me. And it has aboded with me. There were times that, I kind of went astray. Yeah, I did. It's funny because I never went too far because I always knew that I could not go too far. Then I would find mercy and grace and repent. And Yahuah's Ruach would move again in me. He said, listen, upon whom thou shalt see the Ruach Ha'Qodesh descending and remaining, in him the same he which shall baptize with the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Yahuah, from the beginning of Adam and Havah, put his Ruach in them. And they were in the presence of Yahuah all the time. Yahuah also came down in the cool of the day and walked with the Adam and Havah. Yahuah has always intended to be in our presence. From the beginning of time. See, Yahuah. He can't manifest himself in a wicked vessel. He wants nothing to do with an unclean temple. Because Yahuwah's objective is to dwell, remain, and continue to make his abode in his people. The Ruach Ha'Qodesh in you, by design, is to separate you from all the world and those who serve other elves. The Ruach Ha'Qodesh is Yahuwah's seal on you that makes you distinct from everything and everybody. He is dwelling, he is remaining, he is tabernacling in you. In measure now, it's in measure. It's in measure. Right? But it's enough to keep you. It's enough to keep you in a place of doing what is right. It's enough to give you what you need to keep Torah. Yahuwah will tabernacle with you because you keep Torah. This witness is what causes you to experience this fellowship, this koinonia. With Yahuwah. You can't build this. You can't construct this. Don't matter how many temples you build, how many synagogues you make. It doesn't matter how many temples that you think you make it for Yahuwah. Yahuwah don't dwell in them. And if you ain't a witness of Yahusha and Yahuwah, he ain't in you. See, the goal is to have you understand that in order for him to be yours, you have had to have come by the way of the atonement. You have had to been born again of the water and the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. It's the only way that you could be his. And he takes up residency in you, right? That's why, when you receive his Ruach Ha'Qodesh, you have to watch the idols that you hold on to. You gotta watch the idols that you hold on to. You gotta watch the things that you retain and don't want to lose a grip on. Because these things are idols. Yahuah don't share his temple with idols. Yahuah doesn't share his temple with idols. Yahuah will not manifest in a temple. He won't continue and dwell in a temple that serves idols. This temple, this temple, this temple, this temple, this temple. This temple takes work. This temple requires fasting for its upkeep. This temple requires prayer, meditation for its upkeep. See, because this temple is going to be confronted with old ideas and thoughts and words and things that used to affect you and cause you to move in death. You have to do the things that are necessary to keep that down. Gotta do the things that are necessary to keep that under your feet, treading upon it as if you were stepping on Hasatan. You see, because it's the Ruach in you that's at stake in you, his presence. See, Yahuah's presence. His righteous manifestation of himself in you is him tabernacle. We as a people, a Yisrael, tabernacle, celebrate the tabernacles. These tents were around the temple, the ark, the tents. And yet this Feast of Tabernacles is fulfilled in Yahusha because, Yahuah's in us, tabernacle. If we receive the witness, the water, the blood, and the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, he tabernacles in us. We remember tabernacles. We remember that it was our gathering in remembrance, in alignment with the priesthood and the ark and the covenant and Yahuah's presence in the midst of us. But his goal is always to be in you. He made it possible for the tabernacle to be in you. He says, whom thou shalt see, verse 1 and 33. The Ruach descending and remaining on him, the same is he which baptizes with the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Yahuah is going to dwell in you like he dwelled in a Mashiach, right? That's YOCHANON, right? Right? Yahusha said, verily, verily, I say unto you, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of Yahuah. Right? Unless you're born again, you can't see the kingdom. Right? Then he says, verily I say unto you, except a man be born of the water and of the Ruach HaQodesh, he cannot enter into the kingdom of Yahuah. Here we see Yahusha stressing the necessity of the water and of the Ruach HaQodesh. It's impossible to have Yahuah tabernacle in you without receiving the Ruach HaQodesh. Because he ain't in buildings. See, the objective is to get you to understand that you become the temple, and because you're the temple, you have to guard your house from thieves and robbers. You got to protect it from idols, idolatrous things. You got to guard it from pornography. You got to guard it from the thievery and the stealing and the diabolical stuff that wants to take control of your temple. Yahusha said, listen, tell my people that they need to understand that the Ruach HaQodesh in them, my Ruach HaQodesh in them, makes them the temple. See, you don't want to profane the temple like Shlomo profaned the temple. See, Shlomo violated Torah. Right? Yahuah told the king never to multiply wives. Shlomo multiplied in excess to 150. Yahuah told him not to marry the women of the other nations because their elves would turn their hearts against Yahuah. They would want to introduce their gods, and before you know it, you're going to be serving their elves, because the woman has a power over a man. She doesn't have the authority of Yahuah over a man, right? She's in a place of submission and subjection to her husband, right? As he is subjected to Yahusha, right? Right, but she has a power. She has the ability to sway, literally sway. Oh, Judah. Right. She has the ability to sway. Right. She has the ability to be pleasing to the eye. how she talks, she can be pleasing to the ears. She has the ability to move him in the direction outside of that which he knows is right. Ex-Shimshon, ex-Samson. He could only withstand Delilah to the point where, she just worked on him and got what she needed. So slow-mo violated Torah. All the daughters of Zion that were at his disposal, yet he went to the other nations. Finding the most fair, the most beautiful. Looking out for all the dime pieces. Sending people to get them and bring them to him. Caused him to allow the temple of Yahuah to be profaned. Putting up groves. Putting up idols in the temple gates. Allowing these wicked pagan priests, allowing them to bring their elves into the courtyards of Yahuah. In his land. Shlomo allowed himself to be overcome, leading to his violation of Torah and him being in sin. And the Ruach Ha'Qodesh ain't gonna dwell in a temple that's laden with sin. Yahuah is not going to keep company in a temple that yields its members as instruments on righteousness. Israel, Gentiles grafted in, it ain't gonna happen. That's why you gotta understand. It's Yahuah tabernacling in you. Yahuah dwelling, remaining, and continuing. It's Yahuah making his abode in you. Yahuwah paid a price in making this thing happen, and it was Yahusha's sacrifice. He's not going to take lightly. So, the temple. The violation of Torah, the loss of the Ruach of Yahuah in Shlomo. Now his sons are misguided. They take over the kingship and they're more wicked than he is. Because he didn't keep Yahuah's Torah. See, listen. You have to understand that Yahuah will give you his Ruach Ha'Qodesh, but you got a responsibility. That responsibility is meditating in Torah day and night. Who got the time to meditate in Torah day and night? Who don't have the time? Or who can afford not to? Some of y'all done come from some stuff, man. You gotta cater to his Ruach. Yahuah wants to live in you. He wants to make his abode with you. What fellowship does Yahuah have? What fellowship does the temple of Yahuah have with idols? What agreements does Yahuah have with harlotry? Listen, what agreement? Right? Right? So, in Acts 7, right? 7:47. Acts, let's start to 46. Let's go up to let's start at 45. And actually this is solely just for the confirmation of the temple being you. He says, listen, which also our fathers that came after brought in with Yahusha Hamashiach into the possession of the Gentiles. Brought the Gentiles in. Right? Right? Whom Elohiym drove out before the faces of our fathers unto the days of David. Right? Right? He says, who found favor before Yahuah and desired to find the tabernacle of Elohiym for Yaakov. So he's talking about Avraham. He's talking about Avraham totally being just disgusted with the idolatry, Molech, all the idolatry of his forefathers. And he made the turn. He made the transition, right? And it says here, right, because we understand that it gets to David, right, who found favor in Elohiym and desired to find a tabernacle for the Elohiym of the Yaakov. So David wanted to build a temple for you. Right. But Yahuah wouldn't let him build the temple because David had shed too much blood. His hands were dirty with blood. It wasn't that Yahuah didn't love David. It wasn't that Yahuah wasn't pleased with what David had did. David's hands weren't the ones that Yahuah wanted to use to build the temple. So what he did was, but Solomon built Yahuah house, right? Verse 48. Howbeit the Most High dwells not in temples made with hands, as the prophet said, heaven is my throne, right? And the earth is my footstool, right? What house will ye build for me? Right? Right? What temple you gonna build for me? Saith Yahuah, or what is the place of my rest? Right? He said, haven't not my hands made all these things? Right? Ye stiff-necked and uncircumcised of heart and ears, you do resist the Ruach Ha'Qodesh of Yahuah. You resist that which makes the temple you. As your fathers did, so do you. See, Hebrew, listen. It's not enough to be awakened. You have to be quickened. And with this quickening comes a sonship. With this quickening comes a seal. And with this quickening, you become the tabernacle, the temple of Yahuah, Elohiym, in the Eretz. Got to understand. Got to understand it. The temple of Yahuah, right? The temple of Yahuah is you, right? Let's look at 1 Corinthians 1 Corinthians, the 3rd chapter, right? Right? The 3rd chapter, the 16th verse. He says here, know ye not, right, that you are the temple. No. Let's look at that word temple, right? That word temple in the Greek is
Strong's G 3485. Naas.
naas. It says here, used of the temple at Jerusalem, but only of the sacred edifice or the sanctuary, right? It consists of the holy place and the holies of holies, right? Right? Now, for the heathens, it represents a shrine, right? Shrine. Right. And see, sometimes, we gotta watch what we put up, because sometimes we be making shrines. But I know. Listen, we set apart these areas, and we put up all these things, right, that are really just idols, right, that point to Yahusha. Now, I'm not talking about a menorah. And I'm not talking about the Torah. And I'm not even talking about a Hebraic flag. I'm not even talking about that. I mean, that's I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the shrines. We will take an area aside and put in it things that for us represent, right, Yahuwah's presence, but they're shrines. That's what the heathens do. That's what the heathens do. Shlomo in Ecclesiasticus says that, there was a man who made an idol. He takes him through the process of how he takes it, cuts the tree down, he carves it up, and, he makes it and designs it and paints it and do all that stuff. And he has this place in his house and he puts it there. and lights and everything around it, and when it come time to, you go to the shrine place, this designated set apart place in his house. Right. See. He said, know ye not that you are the temple, right? You are the temple, right? Let's do this. You are the temple, right? You are the place where Yahuah dwells. You who have received his Ruach Ha'Qodesh, you are the place that Yahuah dwells. He says, if any man defiles the temple of Elohiym, him shall Yahuah destroy. Any man that defiles the temple of Yahuah, him Yahuah will destroy. See, you gotta understand that with the Ruach Ha'Qodesh comes blessings and privilege, right? But with the Ruach Ha'Qodesh comes tremendous responsibility. Tremendous responsibility. See, the Ruach Ha'Qodesh will lead you. It will guide you. Right? It will lead you, guide you, but you have responsibility. Your responsibility is to pray. Your responsibility is to fast. Your responsibility is study to show thyself approved. Your responsibility is develop your spiritual character. Your responsibility is to be transformed in the renewing of your mind. You gotta understand that you're the temple. If any man defiles, what's it mean to defile? Let's look at that word defile. What's that word defile?
Strong's G 5351. Thyro.
Thyro. It means to corrupt, right? To corrupt oneself. Defile. Right? To corrupt, to destroy. How do you corrupt and destroy the temple of Yahuah? He says here, in the opinion, this is what it says here, in the opinion of the Jews, the temple was corrupted or destroyed when anyone defiled or in the slightest degree damaged anything in it and its guardians neglected their duties. No, right? The temple was destroyed because of their idolatry and their paganism, right? Because they allowed themselves to slip into idolatry. And idolatry is porneia. Adultery in pagan worship always includes illicit sexual sins. It takes the body and it makes it one with harlotry. Adultery was not just the, I got this soul shaker. and I'm going to worship this object. No, the idolatry was spiritual fornication, right? Your intimacy with this item, right, was fornication. Actually, in most idol worship, there was adultery, there was fornication, there was homosexuality, there was incest, there was sex with animals. There were all of these perversions, right, that defiled the temple. That's why you would destroy the temple in Jerusalem. He wasn't going in there. He wasn't showing up. And he wasn't going to let some other elves run it. He going to destroy it. Listen, man, if y'all, woman, if y'all, you have to understand you are the temple of Yahuah. And if you haven't received the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, you need to be born again in the water and the Ruach Ha'Qodesh so you can be the temple of Yahuah. Because that's the only way you don't see the kingdom anyway. You ain't going to see the kingdom without the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Excuse me, the Ruach Ha'Qodesh is the presence of Yahuah on the inside of you. You cease to become your own. You become the dwelling place of Yahuah and Yahusha. He said, listen. If any man defiles the temple of Elohiym, him shall Yahuah destroy. For the temple of Yahuah is Kodesh. You gotta understand this Ruach in you. And listen, if you don't have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh in you anyway, you're gonna be destroyed. Period. Because you haven't received the witness. So listen, if you have received the witness, right, and you defile the temple of Yahuah, right, he's gonna destroy you. Unless he gives you mercy to repent. But then he still may destroy you. Because there comes a judgment sometimes. This is judgment. It's eternal consequence, you know. Yeah, he forgives you. He gives you mercy, But, sometimes you die with AIDS. Sometimes you die with diseases. He will forgive you. He'll cleanse you, wash you. Right? He'll forgive you. But sometimes you got to accept the consequences. He says, for the temple of Yahuah is Kodesh. The Greek word
Strong's G40, Hagios.
Hagios. It means most holy thing, a saint. See, he talking about people that are born again, the one in Ruach Ha'Qodesh. What's that word hagios in the Hebrew means? What's the Hebrew for that? Oh, okay. The Hebrew word means, okay, the Greek. Then it says, from Hagos, an awful thing. I don't know what that is. Right? The Hebrew, H2287.
Strong's H2282. Chag.
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 It means a festival, a feast, right? A gathering, a pilgrimage feast, a festival sacrifice, right? So the idea is that it's Kodesh. Matter of fact, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's look at it in the Hebrew. Okay, the Hebrew word for this is
Strong's H6944. Kodesh.
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 Right? It's an apartness. Right? A holiness, a sacredness, a separateness. You've been made separate. See, when Yahuah puts his Ruach Ha'Qodesh in you, you become his temple, and you're separated from everything and everybody because he has made you that way. Now, everybody that's in this witness is Kodesh. Everyone in this witness has Yahuah tabernacling in them. Everyone who's been born again of the water and of the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, who abides, continues, and dwells in the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, who keeps his commandments, his Torah, right? The Kodesh. Yahuah is tabernacling in you. You are his temple. Yahuah temples in, he tabernacles in you. He remains, continues, and dwells in you. Listen, that's why you got to be born again. That's why you got to have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Listen, Yahuah ain't looking for people that he can camp around them and they can think that they can just come to him any time. No, let me rephrase that. Yahuah is not tabernacling as in the days of old. See, because in order to have or experience Yahuah's presence, you had to have that sacrifice, that atonement continually being offered. And it didn't even make the people who came to them free from sin. It just covered them. See, this Ruach Ha'Qodesh, this witness of Yahushua HaMashiach, this atonement, this water, this blood, this Ruach Ha'Qodesh does that which that could not do. Because Yahusha was that lamb. Yahusha baptized with the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Yahusha came by the water. He was the atonement. He was the high priest that could offer the sacrifice and the shamayim that satisfied Yahuah when Yahuah met with him as he presented his blood for an atonement which made us possible for us to be free from sin consciousness, to be quickened in Yahuah's Ruach Ha'Qodesh, now having Yahuah inside of us. Yahuah's tabernacling in us. Yahuah's Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Listen. He says, know ye not that ye are the temple of Yahuah? Yahuah dwells in you. That's if you got the witness. That's if you've been born again. And again, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you all the time. Christianity is not this. Christianity is not this. It's not this. It's not this. It's not this. Christianity ain't this. You can't get this from an earth pig. You can't get this from a ruler of the earth pigs. You can't get this from Baal, Ashtaroth, Helios, Ra, Diana, Thor, any of them Nordic gods, any of them. You can get this from them. Know ye not that you're the temple of Yahuah? For the Ruach Ha'Qodesh of Elohiym dwells in you. Yahuwah's Ruach Ha'Qodesh dwells in you. He's established a tabernacle, a place of dwelling in you. You are his. He's yours. And any man who defiles the temple, him shall Yahuwah destroy. Just like he destroyed the temples. He destroyed the temples. The temple was destroyed twice. Right? And then Ashkenaz is trying to build the temple. How you gonna build the temple? Yahuwah never said to build the temple again. I mean, doctrine of men. You can't find that in the Torah nowhere. You can't find that in the scriptures nowhere. You don't want that temple. That temple is for the Antichrist. For the beast and the Antichrist. He says, let no man deceive himself. Let no man deceive himself. Right, because ain't nobody going to pluck you out of Yahuwah's hand. You are going to be deceived yourself. Let no man deceive himself. If any man among you seemeth to be wise in this world, let him become a fool that he may be wise. Listen, don't think you understand it all. Right? Because you know, Shlomo thought he understood it all. He thought that he acquired it all. Until he realized it was all vanity. But by then he had turned Yahuwah's land out. He had turned it out. He said, for the wisdom of this world is foolishness with Elohiym. For it is written, he taketh the wise in their own craftiness. Right? Wise in their own craftiness. Know ye not that you're the temple of Yahuwah? Man of Yahuwah? Woman of Yahuwah? Right? Let's look at 2 Corinthians, the 6th chapter, the 16th verse, right? He says, right, what agreement, right, haveth the temple of Elohiym with idols? Right? I mean, right? Now listen, let's go up. Let's go up a little bit, because I need to set the framework here. He says here, right? We then, as workers together with him, beseech you also that ye receive not the grace of Yahuah in vain. Don't allow what Yahuah has given you to slip away because of vanity. Right? Right? For he saith, I have heard thee in an acceptable time, and the day of Yeshua have I scourged thee. Behold, now is the acceptable time. Behold, now is the day of Yeshua. Right? The day of Yeshua was an acceptable time for me. The day of salvation is an acceptable time for you right now. Hear the word of Yahuah. You must be born again of the water and of the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, because it is an acceptable time. It is the year of Yahuah. You need to understand that you need to repent, right? He says, give no offense in anything, that the ministry be not blamed. Don't cause the witness of Yahusha to come under question, to be blamed for something stupid, and cause people to turn away because of something you did, right? He says, but in all things approving yourself as the ministers of Yahuah, with much patience and afflictions, in necessity of distress, and stripes, imprisonments, and tumults, and labor, watching and fasting, by pureness, by knowledge, by long-suffering, by kindness, by the Ruach Ha'Qodesh unframed. Listen. You know those things that I said you need to do? Fast, pray, read, this is what Shaul is saying. These are the things that's going to keep you approved. Because you're gonna need to have patience, because you're gonna be afflicted. In necessity, you're gonna find yourself in distress, right? Some of you may be beat, some of you may be imprisoned, right? In tumults, and tumults are just big fights, right? In labors, you laboring for somebody to understand and get in this witness, and watching and in fasting, watching and praying and seeing what's happening, discerning the time, fasting, because Hezekiah says, I'm about to make the devil mad. He said, I'm about to go in and fast, I'm going to make the devil mad. Listen, you got to understand that these are the things that you have to do, right? He says, by pureness, right? Pure. To the pure, all things are pure, right? By knowledge, right? The Ruach of wisdom and revelation. That's the Ruach Ha'Qodesh of wisdom and revelation and the knowledge of him, right? In long suffering, by kindness, by the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, and by unfeigned love. These are all, these all have to be integrated in you. You have to understand that certain things are going to happen, but you got to do these things. He says, listen. He says, by the Basora of truth, by the Ruach Ha'Qodesh of Yahuah, by the armor of righteousness on the right hand and on the left, by honor and dishonor, by evil report and good report, by deceivers and yet true. Listen. You're going to have all kinds of things happening to you. You're going to have all manner of things. But you got to understand, you have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. And you have the armor of Yahuah. Right? And with this armor of Yahuah, you got to understand, you're going to still have people that's going to try to deceive. Right? You still going to have people that's going to give evil reports of you. Right? Yeah, as unknown yet known. You ain't unknown, but yet you known of who? Yahuah, because he sent you. Right? As dying, and behold, we live. Yeah, we may die for this witness. But yet we live. We pass from death to life. We move in by the Ruach of Yahuah, by having him had tabernacling in us, put us in a place where we can go to be with him. He says, listen. As chastened, but not killed. Some of y'all gonna be beat, but she ain't gonna kill you. As sorrowful, yet always rejoicing. Look, there's some things that I see in this United Snakes of America that makes me so sorrowful, right? But yet I rejoice because I know Yahuah is bringing judgment. I know Babylon is falling. As poor, yet making many rich. Listen, all I want to do is make you rich. I want you to understand the value of this witness. I want you to understand the value of the water, the blood, and the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. I want you to know and understand the value of having Yahuah tabernacle in you. Making rich and having nothing, yet possessing all things. Why? Because the greater one is in you. Him that has made heaven and the earth. Him that has stretched out the heavens. He's tabernacled in you. He's made his presence in you. You ain't got to go out to get him anymore. You don't have to go out to see him, and you don't have to go and with a ram or with a go out. He's nigh thee. He's nigh thee in faith. His word is nigh thee. It's in thy mouth. It's in thy heart. He says, listen. Unknown yet well known, as dying, and yet behold we live, chastened and not killed, sorrowful but always rejoicing. As poor yet making many rich, having nothing yet possessing all things. He says, O ye Corinthians, our mouth is open unto you, and our hearts are enlarged, right? Ye are not straitened in us. Ye are not straitened in us, but ye are straitened in your own bowels. You are straight because you know you're straight on the inside of you, not just because we say you straight. Now for a recompense in the same, I speak unto my children, be ye also enlarged, right? Open yourself up, right? He said, but listen, be not unequally yoked together with unbelievers, right? For what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? What communion have light with darkness? Right? What concord has a Mashiach with Belial? Or what part haveth believers with unbelievers? What agreement? What contracts? What contractual agreements do you have with Baal worshipers? What agreements do you have with Christians? Earth pig worshipers. What part haveth he that believeth with an infidel? Right? He said, but what agreement have the temple of Yahuah with idols? Right? What agreement does the temple, ye are the temple of Yahuah, what agreement have you with idols? You know, how you got the Ruach Ha'Qodesh and you going up into a football game worshiping athletes? Some of y'all don't like this because y'all like y'all Bucks, y'all like y'all Eagles, y'all like y'all Patriots, y'all like y'all New York Knicks, your Buffalo Bills, your Cleveland Browns. You love them. But see, some of y'all ain't got the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, so you know you just worshiping at your house. I mean, literally, that's where you worship. That's where you get your. See, when you in this witness, and you understand Yahuah and Yahusha and Torah, look, you ain't got no business there. Some of y'all still trying to make your kids into superstar athletes. I'm talking about y'all Hebrews. I know some of y'all don't get mad at that, but I don't care. You should be teaching your kid Torah. Your kid can handle a basketball more than he can handle the word. You're wrong. What agreement has the temple of Yahuah with idols? For ye are the temple of the living Yahuah, as he hath said, I will dwell in them, walk in them, and I will be their Yahuah, and they shall be my people. Wherefore come out from among them, and be ye separate, saith Yahuah, and touch not the unclean things, and I will receive you, and will be a father unto you, and ye shall be my sons and daughters, saith the Almighty Yahuah. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, listen. Yahuah wanted me to tell you that you are to be his temple. He dwells in you. If you've received this witness, the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, the water and the blood, then you are his temple. He dwells in you. What fellowship has the temple of Yahuah with idols? What fellowship has the temple of Yahuah with idols? Yahuah will destroy the temple, just like he destroyed the temple under Shlomo and under the nation, because they didn't want to receive the witness of Yahushua Mashiach. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, that's all I have. That's all you was giving me in reference to this. And I'm praying that somebody would receive it in Emunah, and that they would understand that, yes, you must be born again, because the Ruach Ha'Qodesh is Yahuah's Ruach in you, right? You need to know that. But you need to know that with the Ruach Ha'Qodesh being in you, you need to carry your house, your temple, right, in a manner in which it pleases Yahuah. Yahuah, I pray right now in the name of Yahushua Mashiach that the words that you've given me to give to them, that they would receive it in Emunah, they would walk in it and be obedient to it. Yahuah, I pray that they would not stagger at your word through unbelief, but would be strong in faith. I pray that your word would make the difference in their lives, that they would see how you in them requires obedience, requires sanctification. Yahuah, that they got to bring everything under the subjection of the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. They got to bring everything under the dominion and the power of the Torah of the Word. Yahuah, I pray in the name of Yahushua Mashiach, that the words that I speak, Yahuah, the meditations of my heart, that they would be acceptable in thy sight. Yahuah, my strength and my Redeemer. Man of Yah, called to greatness. Woman of Yahuah, called to greatness. Daughters of Zion, beautifully and wonderfully made. Listen, today Yahuah has favored you. Understand this. You got to walk in this. You got to talk this. You got to live this. Right? Because, we the temple of Yahuah. All right? Now, you ain't the temple of Yahuah, right, if you don't have his Ruach Ha'Qodesh in you. Look, don't make no mistake about it. You're going to need to get the Ruach Ha'Qodesh in you before you are ever his temple. Man, y'all, that's all I got. With that, I say, listen, shalom, shalom, shalom. You be blessed.
Torah guardian, speaking the absolute truth. Torah nation.